Hello, everyone. So we have Dr. Ritesh Malik will be joining us shortly, and I'll give you a brief introduction on how this format will go. This will be a very informal sort of a chat with Ritesh, and after the chat, if there is time, we could have some time allotted for some question and answers. But majorly speaking, it's going to be about his journey, and it's also going to be about the steps that he has taken to come to where he is, and his background and the future plans that he has. So I think we have Ritesh joining in. Yeah. Hi, Ritesh. I think yeah. Unmute.
Sorry, my bad. Very good to see you, Ajitesh.
So good to see you, Ritesh. Uh, how are things going
All
on?
good. But this has been a difficult time for the business,
Yeah,
but we are. This is also a very good personal learning time. We are learning a lot of things: how to manage a downturn, how to manage a trough, and the good part is that we had sold the business to SoftBank and OYO
mhm,
just before all of this happened.
yeah,
We are very grateful that we were able to get a decent exit before all of this started happening.
correct. So, just to introduce Dr. Ritesh Malik, I'll give a brief introduction. Uh, I mean, brief won't do justice, but then I'll try to do my best because he is actually a medical graduate who took a detour from conventional medicine to follow his passion for entrepreneurship. He started his entrepreneurial journey in 2012 with an augmented reality startup called Adstuck, which was built, operated, and transferred to Bennett and Coleman. In 2013, he started funding startups after a series of investment and being a serial entrepreneur. In 2015, Ritesh started a co-working platform called Innovate, a venture which started with Ritesh's sheer love and thirst to promote entrepreneurship in the country, is now one of the leading names in the co-working ecosystem in India. And Innovate, a Y-combinator backed co-working space, is a platform to connect and community of freelancers, entrepreneurs, corporates, tech innovators, and investors under one roof and in a social environment. Today, Innovate is spread across 11 cities, 25 campuses, having clients ranging from freelancers to corporations like Pepsi, BBC, Vogue Magazine, Swiggy, PayTM, Bain Co, etc. And Ritesh also started his angel funding venture in 2015 called Project Gorilla with a vision to bring a premier Indian based accelerator and incubation center to the country. He has one of the most active been one of the most active angel investors in the country with invested in more than 50 plus companies in the last 5 years. He has done multiple investments personally and has invested in a Y Combinator fund. And Ritesh's leadership and contribution to the Indian startup ecosystem is widely recognized by startup industry and media fraternity with recognitions from Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia, Fortune 40 Under 40, and PwC SPH 40 Influential Indians Business World 40 Under 40, St. Gallen's Leadership Award, Entrepreneur Magazine 35 Under 35 India, to name a few, is actively collaborated with the government of India to help build the college entrepreneurship ecosystem in the country. And in 2019, Ritesh sold Innovate to SoftBank backed OYO for a multi-million dollar all cash deal. With OYO now, Ritesh is scaling Innovate to become Asia's largest co-working giant. And of course, he's been a part of multiple philanthropic activities. He's a founding partner at Laksha University, board member at NGOs like Akanksha Against Harassment and Nasdeep Village Development, Muskan Dreams, etc. I mean, it's quite a big bio that he had. So I hope all of you could get a gist of what Ritesh has been doing over the past several years and one of the first things, I mean, I did watch a lot of your videos, and I was quite fascinated with how your educational background kind of played a role in you becoming an entrepreneur, because it's not every day that we see a doctor take this route. So how did really that come about?
So this is very interesting. I first of all thank you very much for such a kind introduction. I believe I'm one of the most ill-focused people in the history of mankind, and we have a disease in our country, especially the subcontinent of India, with countries like Vietnam, Nepal, even Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and we call this the APS, Asian Parent Syndrome, where whatever your parents do, you are actually forced to do that. And I still remember when I was in 10th, we have this dilemma that which stream do you need to choose in plus one and plus two. And I always wanted to pursue economics, but my parents were so hell bent for the fact that they wanted me to become a doctor. I have 37 doctors in my family. So they said that you need to, whatever happens, you can do whatever you like, but you need to become a doctor first. So that was the story of how I became a doctor. And I used to hate medicine. I used to hate seeing doctors. And in 2012, while I was working in a hospital as a junior surgeon, I realized that I cannot take this anymore. I used to hate seeing patients. So after finishing my medicine, I thought कि छोटा काम करूँगा, छोले भटूरे बेचूंगा, लेकिन बेचूंगा ऐसे कि हल्दीराम बन जाए. Like it needs to be that drool worthy a product, but and it needs to have scale. One biggest flaw in medicine is, if you see top 100 richest people in India, very few are doctors who make money by seeing patients. You have a physical limitation of being a doctor. You can see 100 patients a day. You cannot see more than that. But if you leverage platforms of distribution like technology, you can reach to multi. In the first app that I had built, on day one we had 2.5 lakh downloads, and this was way back in 2012 December. So we realized one thing, that we realized one thing, that we really need to make sure that whatever happens, you just focus on building products which are drool worthy in India.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to the part where you said, you really never wanted to become a doctor, because my father himself is a pediatrician and he really hated being a doctor. So over time, he crossed that path and, he said, I can't do this practice anymore. Like you said, there's a limitation to which I think, after a certain point, you can't really go
Yeah.
forward. So he saw that. And what's your daily routine like, Ritesh? How do you spend your day? What's your morning to evening routine like?
So it's been very variable depending on what phase of life I am in. So for
Mhm.
example, when I was running Innovate by myself without the backing of SoftBank OYO, so at that point of time, my routine was very harsh. I used to sleep hardly 4 to 5 hours a day. But now that we have sold the company, I've started living like a man now. I make sure I at least sleep for 7.5 hours a day. I've started focusing more on work which can give you very deep intangible results than just focusing on burning yourself. So my routine goes like, I sleep very late. So I get up around 8:30, 9 o'clock. I sleep by 2:30ish, 2:30ish, and I make it a point to spend a lot of time with my grandfather in the morning. Post that, I luckily nowadays I have my office in the home only. So post that, almost every day I spend 8 to 9 hours doing Zoom meetings, and we are also consolidating the portfolio that we have. And also at this point in time, post COVID, this is a difficult time for our business. So we are also spending a lot of time on making sure how do we so when it comes to Innovate, we are India's third largest co-working player with more than 32,000 in seats pan India. And we realize, and especially for a business like ours which is very rental led, this is a difficult time. And we are also figuring out ways on how do we adapt to the disruption that is happening in the world. So I spent a lot of time on reading what is going to happen post COVID, and we want to be prepared with all the disruption and adopt to that at model. As Charles Darwin rightly said, it is not the fastest or the largest who will survive. It is the one who adapts to change and evolves very quickly. So our focus is to now become a cockroach startup, forget the legacy of whatever we have so far, and try and become as asset light as possible. So we are spending a lot of time and also in interacting with customers, because we are also spending a lot of time in controlling our expenses and costs, because on the revenue side we have been hit.
Okay, that's interesting. And Ritesh, I just wanted to take like a step back, and how did you basically transition from this whole MBA thing to becoming an entrepreneur? Because I do understand there is no formal learning, or you don't have like an MBA as such that
Yes.
supported you. But then you were able to transition. How did that transition happen?
So I've realized that in India, people don't jump. There's something called jumping,
Mhm.
and people are always waiting for the right time. And in my business, I host early stage entrepreneurs. Now, in a business where I meet almost close to 200 entrepreneurs every day, because that's part of my business, I realized one thing. A lot of people come to me and they say, "Ki yaar, business chalu karna hai." And I always ask them that that's very good. Let's start. So they said, "नहीं यार, 6 महीने बात करेंगे because अभी है ना थोड़ा सा salary आ जाए, तो we'll be more comfortable financially." Then after 6 months, when I talked to them, they said, "नहीं यार, अभी बेटी हुई है. The moment my daughter gets slightly more old, then I'll start the business." I always tell people, uh, there's there's no wrong time to do the right thing. Uh, Post COVID, a lot of people ask me that, should we wait for 2 years before starting a business? And I always tell them that the best time to start a business was yesterday. The next best time is today, right now. You need to put yourself in. As humans, we are like rocket. Until and unless we have a fire on our bum, we will not move forward. And this is especially Indians. So I believe that jumping is extremely important. One thing which I truly am very grateful for is the fact that I've learned the skill of jumping without knowing what is going to happen. Fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
But the moment you think outside your comfort zone, you will start thinking about 20 reasons why this will not work. You just need one reason why it will work. So this is called the crest. This is called the crest of excitement. The moment you have an idea, you get very excited about it. You go to these platforms like Think42, Your Story. You see headlines that at an entrepreneur made 200 crore rupees is by building something. You get excited about it. And then you start researching that if he can do it, why can't I? But then the moment you get excited, you go on your peak. And when you start working on it, there's a massive friction that happens, because that puts you in uncomfortable zones. For success, one thing that you need, no amount of formal education can actually teach you this. And that is your adaptation to being in uncomfortable zones, being in places which actually increase your adrenaline and ability to take bold risks. So a lot of people ask me, what is the mathematical formula of luck, and what is luck? And luck is actually nothing but boldness into keen observation, into decision making. People don't take decisions. They keep on delegating and procrastinating their lives. And one day comes that they actually die at the age of 75 with so many ideas in their minds which they could have executed. So many things that they could have done. People don't do that. So I always tell people, and I interact with a lot of college students, and I always tell them, अगर दिमाग में आइडिया है ना, करो उसको और अभी करो. Don't wait for the college to get over. Don't wait for you to get married, because the more you are waiting, the higher is the risk that you are taking, because once you have a wife and a kid, it will be very difficult for you to start up. So the biggest thing is start early. The biggest regret I have is I started when I was 24, whereas I should have started when I was 21.
Mhm. Wonderful. And how important do you see the entrepreneurship ecosystem in the country at like a college level? Do you see the importance? Because I don't see entrepreneurship being promoted on a wide scale across colleges and universities. So, how important do you think this is to build the future of country?
So, and this is a slightly aggressive thought process, but after visiting so many universities, and not to name, but the best one for MBA in our country, the so-called best one is in Ahmedabad. Now, what happens is that I just took a lecture a couple of months back in the most creamiest place in our country, which has the finest people who could actually ratify and produce the same thing within in a month of in their examinations. So I asked them, how many of you want to become entrepreneurs? And out of 150, only one hand was up. And I asked those other 149 people, why don't you want to become an entrepreneur? And I realized that MBA schools, our legacy MBA schools, are not just doing justice. We need more and more MBA schools like what you are doing right now. Students need to interact with people who have, whether they have failed, whether they have passed. I don't know whether I am successful or a failure, but they need to interact with people who have taken a detour and open their minds. More than Philip Kotler, they need to understand that how can changing your mind result in a changed lifestyle. And that is missing, and we have seen that is actually happening in a lot of private educational institutes like what you are doing, because their promoters understand the value of entrepreneurship, which legacy colleges like IIMs do not understand today. Their biggest KRA is not to produce entrepreneurs. When they judge a particular university, they do not judge by the number of entrepreneurs or the number of successes and failures they create. They judge them by how many of them got placed, which is the worst form of judgment for a university. And not to pinpoint anyone, but this is a humble submission that I always give to universities, that spend time and acceptance of failure. Do you know the best thing that happened for India in 2019 was that Chandrayaan failed. For the first time in our country, failure was accepted throughout the nation, across 135 crore people, that we tried. We gave it a bloody shot just above 31 kilometers before landing the moon. We stopped, but we will go back again. That was the time when even my grandfather, who's a conventional man, he said that we tried. We should be celebrating more failures than even successes, and help entrepreneurs, especially in colleges. The best time to start a company is in colleges. And I believe that because this is the only time, this is the last time when you will actually have free time. In schools, you do not have free time. First, you go to your school, then you go back and you go to your coaching classes. And the kind of pressures that you have is maddening. And the only free time you have is these educational times. Spend time on building yourself, building informal skills, and at the same time, try something new. Fail, but failure is a badge of honor. And the day our educational institutes start celebrating failures, that is the time when we will truly change the college entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Yeah, and I also understand that you have a lot of interest in education, and you have definitely ventured into a few philanthropic activities. So there are a lot of things that schools don't teach us, and in today's world, what do you think should be part of that learning system that's missing? That really.
So this is very interesting. Do you mind if I answer this in Hindi, thoda sa?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead. Feel free.
So बहुत interesting कहानी है. This was 9th or 10th class, and as a English child, I went to my father's younger brother, and I asked him. He's an IRS officer, so I asked him, Chacha, what should I become? And after smiling and after thinking for 5 minutes, he gave a very good answer. He said, become a good human being first. Our schools are teaching us how to become engineers and doctors. They're not teaching us how to become a good human being. अभी भी वो एक moral sciences का छोटा सा किताब आती है, जो है ना सिर्फ रटवा के है ना, उसको कोई पढ़ता भी नहीं है. टीचर भी कहती है moral science का एग्जाम है ना, आप टेप लो एक दूसरे से. They don't give value to the most important skill, that is how to deal with people. 99% of the problems of the world are not problems of the world. They are actually problems of dealing with humans. How do you respect people? How do you respect women? What is internet safety? What is cyber security? These are things which are even today. We say that we are going to become the largest developed nation by 2050. But if you ask me, our nation and has the largest failure in terms of the fact that even today rape is as a crime is so ubiquitous and can be found in each and every district in our country. A country which has not even taught their boys to respect women. How can we think about success? So my belief is fundamentally, if you want to change education, this is something that we are also trying to do with Plaksha. That first of all, teach students basic manners. We should actually learn a lot of things and relearn them what we do in kindergarten. Kindergarten में ना जब भी मैं अपने prep school जाता था, my teacher used to say, always wash your hands. Always is never abuse. Always is walk in a line. These are very basic things, but you will always see in PVR while you are going to buy a popcorn, some donkey will come in front of you and cross the line. These are very and this does not show. This is something which is extremely crucial for us to become a mature economy, to understand what our rights are. Civil rights are our understanding of law. So I think that first of all, our fundamental core should be there. Second of all, we should completely transform the career options. I don't know about you. I'm 1989 born. And in my times also, my career option was either become a doctor, and there's a taboo to actually take history as a subject. And only students who get between 40 and 60 used to take history. And I realized that today there are more than 200 career options. In guitar, you can actually have 15 different careers that you can actually take and make more money than a doctor who works for 24 hours a day. So it's all about your passion. And a lot of teachers, so I went back to my school and a teacher asked that, Ritesh, aap passion ki bahut baat karte ho. What is passion? And I always tell them that passion is your brain print. There is something which Ajitesh can do better than Ritesh, and there's something that Ritesh can do better than Ajitesh because of our DNA, because of our biases. Before वो पता कब पता चलता है जब हम लोग एक नई किताब लेते हैं, फर्स्ट पेज पे हम अपने धर्म का लिखते हैं, जो हिंदू है वो ओम लिखता है, जो मुसलमान है वो अपने अल्लाह की वो लिखता है, जो सिख है वो कुछ और लिखता है. अगले पेज पे बिकॉज नई किताब है तो हम बड़ी सुंदर हैंडराइटिंग में है ना पहला पेज लिखते हैं. धीमे धीमे आवर एजुकेशन सिस्टम इज सो बोरिंग दैट लास्ट में आते आते वो बच्चे की हैंडराइटिंग डॉक्टर की हैंडराइटिंग होने लग जाती है एंड ही इज नो लॉन्गर एक्साइटेड अबाउट स्कूल. वहां पे पैशन नहीं है. पैशन इज जब टीचर पढ़ा रही होती है, लास्ट पेज पे बच्चा गाड़ी बना रहा है, बच्चा बिल्डिंग्स बना रहा है, बच्चा डिजाइन बना रहा है, उससे उसके ना साइकोलॉजी का पता चल सकता है. We should spend at least an year in schools to just understand what is that student really passionate about. So I believe that science is missing and our education system has failed us in schools to the extent that I cannot even tell you about.
No, absolutely. I agree because I'm pretty critical myself on the system, and I think there's a lot of work that we need to actually work on. And Ritesh, you have invested in over 50 plus startups, and investing in a startup, I think, is a high risk game. I've never invested myself. So how does one go about understanding investments in a startup?
So honestly, if you start understanding investing in startups, you'll never invest in startups because it's the riskiest thing a human can do just before suicide, because the chances of your money coming back are not next to zero. You should just consider it's burnt capital. But why I started investing in startups was that I realized that how do we convert the Indian fragmented entrepreneurial ecosystem into what is Silicon Valley? We believe Silicon Valley is a jazzy place where a lot of tech gadgets and smart men are going about. When I stayed in Valley for a while, I was there for almost an year, I realized that Silicon Valley is basically a desert with just one difference, and that was that Silicon Valley had founders investing in founders. The day that starts happening in India, the problem is in India, we have zero mentorship when it comes to startups. Why do college entrepreneurs fail in India? The reason is they do not have access to people who have been there, done that. If you talk about my life, I have failed in ways you cannot even imagine. I did not even know, okay, FEMA होता क्या है, I did not know RBI के notices क्या होते हैं, I did not know tax क्या होता है. I have done so many mistakes and I realized that अगर मेरी life में कोई ऐसा founder होता जिसने मेरी company में पैसा डाल दिया होता and who had gone through the journey, my life would have been at least 50% more hassle free. So we as a model, what we have done is we invest in startups, we invest in very high class founders and build relationships with them. And as a commitment, we tell them we are not investing in your product, we are investing in you. And if you fail with this one, we will invest in you in the next startup. If you fail in the second one, we'll invest in you in the third startup. And we will and we will keep on exposing ourselves to support you irrespective of whatever happens. So that became a movement in India. So today we do, the final tally is we have invested in close to 70 plus startups. We've done companies like Joe Stocks, which is now Asia's largest leadership platform. We've done companies like TSafe, Shiro's, a lot of content companies. But the whole idea is build a network of founders who can learn from each other and build value together.
Yeah, and Ritesh, what's the biggest difference that you see in the startup ecosystem in India and abroad?
So the biggest one is Indians don't have, though Britishers have left us, they have not left our legacy. They have, they still own us. We still have an elitist society. We still have a society. As a Punjabi boy, I can tell you, we still have a society where being dark shaded is looked bad upon. We still have a society. I still remember my mother used to put a lot of powder on my face before me going to school. We still have a society where being fair-skinned. We still have a society where if you know English, you are looked upon in a very different way. We are still owned by all the attributes of Britishers. The only difference is that has now come in our genes while they have gone. So I believe that particular, and I realized my English wasn't very good. I realized that English to मैं सीख जाऊंगा. But the whole idea is you do not need to know very good English. The whole idea is, and I was a very introvert child when I was around my 20s. I also had a lot of speech disorder. So what happened that my confidence level was on basement. Because the world was like completely, they could speak well, they knew very good English. I could not even understand their words. I could not use the word R. R ko main bolta tha G. So my name Ritesh went as Gitesh. Unfortunately, all the people in my family have their names starting with R. My father Ravi went as Gavi. My mother Renu went as Ginu. My sister Ridhima went as Gidima. And my grandmother Raj Rani went as Gajgani. So now people used to make a lot of fun of me. Now, in hindsight, I realized all of this does not matter. Whether you have speech disorder, whether you have dyslexia, whether you have dark skin, all of this does not matter. What matters is एक बड़ी अच्छी छोटी सी कहानी है. इंडिया गेट पे एक फादर अपने बेटे को लेके जा रहे थे. इंडिया गेट हमारे यहाँ पे है ना, बलून्स बहुत सारे वहाँ पे कोने में बिकते हैं. So the child saw two balloons. One was a pink balloon which was in the air. One was the blue balloon which was on the ground. So the father said, is the pink balloon in the air because of the color and the blue on the ground because of the color? So father said, no, it's not because of the outside color. It is because उसके अंदर helium है और इसके अंदर normal air है. It does not matter how you look. It matters from the outside. It matters what is there within you. So the biggest difference is belief. In Indian students, we are not, as a society, we do not develop belief in our students. We are constantly questioning them, constantly. Board में and society creates those pressures. बोर्ड में अगर 95 नहीं आए तो यार बच्चा ठीक नहीं. 12th में नहीं आए और अगर किसी सब्जेक्ट में कम भी आए ना, हमें झूठ बोलना हमारे माँ बाप सिखाते हैं. अगर किसी मेरे केमिस्ट्री में बोर्ड में 60 मार्क्स आए थे 100 में से, दो आई वाज वेरी गुड विद अदर सब्जेक्ट्स. माय फादर सेड, बेटा जब बाहर जाए ना, कोई केमिस्ट्री का पूछे ना, 82 बता देंगे हम लोग. And I realized that this is, in hindsight, I realized this is the biggest flaw of our society. Our parents, and they have the best intent for us. They love us with all their life. But the whole idea is for them their supremacy of ego is extremely important. कि मेरे बच्चे के मार्क आपके बच्चे से ज़्यादा है. And this flaw, this belief, this keeps on, because once you lie about your belief, the day if I would have told you that I've got 60, I would have felt proud about it. The idea is that you need to generate in Silicon Valley. That is the difference. Every entrepreneur in Silicon Valley has so much belief in himself that he will be able to make it. In India, we don't have that belief, and our society breaks that belief. And that needs to be, and that is why when founders invest in founders, we have got one of the highest ROIs of capital invested into our startups. The reason is because of that belief that we inculcate in our founders to make sure that whatever happens, we will be out of this.
That's very interesting. And Ritesh, one thing that I am personally I was fascinated was the fact that you were part of Y-combinator. And could you share your experience, because I've heard so much about Y-combinator, and then uh, I think your insights would be really helpful. How was the?
So YC has been, honestly, I do not have a formal degree. So YC was a complete game changer for me. They actually taught us basics of how to build a large scale startup, how to scale it. And the biggest thing that YC generates is they have teachers like Mark Zuckerberg. They have teachers who are the founders of Chesky, the founders of Airbnb. And they do something called Tuesday dinners with them. Now, there's a group of 100 students sitting, all mobiles confiscated, and you are sitting with them, and they are teaching, and you can't record the conversations, and you're just talking to them, and they share the likes of Mark Zuckerberg and Andrew Mason, founder of Groupon, Brian Chesky, co-founder of Airbnb. They share some of the darkest secrets of how they built the company. And you and then you believe, जब ये 33 34 35 साल का लड़का कर सकता है, हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते? वो 40% इंडियन एम्प्लॉइज, इंडियन उसके एम्प्लॉइज हैं. Indians are one of the finest breeds. We have a genetic gold mine. But the only problem is वो gold को है ना हम तराश नहीं पा रहे because of our belief system. So I believe YC gave that belief that, and before YC we just had one campus in Connaught Place. Post YC, when they used to ask us, what do you want to build? And we used to say that in the next 5 years, we'll be building 5 campuses more. And we used to feel very proud about it, that yaar 5 campuses ho jayenge, matlab maza aa jayega. And the president of YC, Sam Altman, and the CEO of YC, who was my partner, Michael Siebel, he said, are you mad? You need to think, how can you build 100 campuses in the next 24 months? And first I used to think, पागल हो गए हैं यार, 100 campuses कैसे बनेंगे, मतलब क्या होएगा? And I used to just go back. But then your cohort is so rich in terms of their experience, and then there is a very healthy competition which happens. Every Wednesday, every Thursday, they call you and you have to tell them what did you do and what is your mission. And you feel so belittled कि यार उसने इतना कर लिया और तू पागल है, ये नहीं किया. Then you start developing belief. Then they sit with you to develop that belief that पैसा आ जाएगा. 100 campuses का सोचोगे तब जाके 30 बनेंगे. So that के बाद ना I got that belief कि नहीं यार, मतलब I can really make this big.
Interesting. And talking about Innov8, when and how did that actually come about?
So while building in our first startup, Abhishek was the CEO of Adstuck. I was his co-founder, and I learned a lot from him. And me and Abhishek had our office in a very small place called Noida. Noida में एक जगह छोटी सी है, सेक्टर 63. उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार उस टाइम पे अलग थी, तो वहाँ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं आती, तो 8 घंटे तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं आती. उसके बाद what used to happen was that we did not have access कि सुबह एक खाना 2 से 3 के बजे नहीं मिल सकता क्योंकि पानी नहीं आता था, तो बर्तन नहीं धो सकते थे. We realized that almost 30 to 48% of working capital of early stage startups went into building offices, which was the first use of their capital. And we realized that when great founders meet together, magic happens. So we thought that let us create a model where we will build the best of the best. If you check out Innov8, INNOV numeric 8, we have campuses which are better than any of our international competition, 1/3 of their prices, and the most loved campus in our country in terms of the network that we have. How we have built that is, we have taken an average life of an entrepreneur and revolved our entire experience around this. So a very simple hack, we realized that हम कहाँ पे खोलें Innovate. Our basic thesis was कि एक बड़ी-बड़ी किताबें नहीं लेनी, हमने बहुत hacks निकाले. The first hack was, जहाँ Starbucks है ना, उसके 3 मिनट 180 सेकंड्स के ड्राइव पे या फिर 7 मिनट की वॉक पे आपको होना है. So we started building campuses around. If you talk about Bangalore, we are in Starbucks Koramangala के एकदम सामने. So we realized that start building a product which is so drool worthy that no entrepreneur jaw dropping prices पे ऐसा product बना दो that people feel कि यार ये क्या बना दिया. So that was the premises of helping entrepreneurs come together, meet each other, and we did not expect that something good will happen out of it. But after building 2 campuses, we realized that when entrepreneurs come together, magic happens, because in the same campus, they find a freelancer who can develop their website. In the same campus, they find a vendor who can help them host their servers. In the same campus, they can find a graphic designer, and massive synergies. At one point in time, we were doing in one campus close to 1 crore rupees inter-synergies a month. So Innovate became a platform where founders did not only wanted to join, but they उनकी मजबूरी हो गई थी join करना because उनको धंधा मिलता था. So our idea was build a platform which is so rich and interconnected, and then build events on top of it. We used to get the finest of what you're doing right now. I don't know how much valuable this is, but when you do these things consistently over 2 years, you will see the quality of cohort which exits out of your educational institutes will have a very different outlook. Absolutely. And that event, so in total we have close to 35 campuses as we speak right now, at least pre-COVID. We used to make sure that we do at least 10 events each day, and those events were rich events. Y-combinator coming to India talking. Those events were CEO of WhatsApp Global Will coming to India and talking. Any international event that used to happen used to be hosted in Innovate. We realized these events create a lot of motivation.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. I mean, you are not just building a company, but then you're building this community, and that community is much more longer lasting, I could say, than just building. Yeah. And one thing I've always been curious about is, talent. How do you hire talent in your company, and how do you identify? Because I found it like I think it's a hard thing to do. Like, how do you identify this is the right person for this job?
So I honestly, I have done my share of mistakes while hiring, because it's very difficult to learn hiring without hiring someone. So I've seen that trust people, but when it comes to hiring, don't be in a haste. Companies who hire in haste have to fire in haste. Take time, spend a lot of time while hiring. The most critical element of hiring is culture. Am I audible? Yeah. So the most critical element of hiring is culture. Most of the founders don't realize this. First, build a good culture. Understand what you stand for. Build vision for your company. Build mission, and you will only be able to hire the finest people on the planet and you cannot hire them by money. You need to hire them by igniting their emotions and getting into their hearts, and that would happen first by creating a vision. A vision is a document that you create for what will you do, what will this company do for the next 100 years. For example, let's talk about Acharya. Let's talk about your university. Your vision of 100 years, what does your university want to stand for? Irrespective of all the disruptions in the educational world, what does it stand for? The second is you create your mission. Missions are short term, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, and quarter based. How do you achieve that mission for 5 years leveraging today's quarter? And The third thing is then you build a culture. So we've built a culture at Innovate that we will never hire anyone who does not know how to respect other people. We do not want to be the fastest growing company in the world. We want to be the most respected company in the world. Every customer that we meet, whether he pays us and like this is a culture that we have built. If someone enters our campus, even if he's a beggar, he will walk away with a glass of water and something to eat. That might be a biscuit. This is a culture that we are building. If someone comes and is not satisfied with us, we try our level best to make sure that he does not have to overpay us or we don't extract irrespective of our legal contracts. So this is a culture that we have built, which helps us stay on our product and the promise. Product is nothing but trust. Trust is nothing but promise. And trust is equal to, I have a mathematical formula for that. This is called the Trixie phenomenon. Everything in this world is trust. The bio that you just read, that was nothing but to create my trust to your students, that he might say something that might help you out. So trust is equal to Trixie phenomenon. Trust is equal to reliability into intimacy, into credibility, into consistency divided by self-interest. So people, when it comes to hiring, make sure that you are able to develop trust with your people, become reliable. Reliability is your skill. What do you stand for? Intimacy is the way you talk. Half the people promises are problems because of foul languages and egos that come in between people. Our corporate structure is so inefficient. If you fire 50% of our corporate staff of India today, our stock market will not deteriorate because those are redundant employees. So I realized hiring is all about getting into hearts of people and then building your credibility. What does Ajitesh say about Ritesh at Ritesh's back? That is your credibility. That is your brand. So I believe building trust and that promise and that culture, and then you will see slowly you will start gathering a set of people who are exactly for the culture that you stand for. Never hire anyone who does not fit your culture, even if he's from a Harvard and is coming to work for you for free. Yeah. Culture is so important, you can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's the key word here, culture and having that trust in that person. And Ritesh, how have you prepared, like with the current situation of COVID and all that? How have you prepared? How are you handling the situation?
So for us, honestly, so I'll tell you, when COVID happened, as entrepreneurs, we are always very optimistic. We believe nahi, sab theek ho jayega. But actually, when a crisis comes, we weren't prepared for it. So we first thought that this would be just fine, because at that point in time, this did not hit India. But we realized with time, this is a very difficult phase for all businesses, and especially being a company that stands on revenues of other companies' expenses. If you see, our revenue is an expense of another company. So definitely we have been hit. The good part in all of this is the fact that we were prepared from the beginning, because we did not do a lot of conventional leases. We did a lot of revenue shares with landlords. So if our revenue contracts, their subsequently to the proportion of that, their rentals also contract. That actually saved us significantly. That being said, honestly, my assumption, work is going to change. Just imagine, earlier for this sort of for this sort of an interaction, I would have come to Bangalore. Yeah. Such a redundant waste of time. Work has changed, and now we will not go back to the normal work style. So we are also adopting to new models. We are learning about new models. We believe that going forward, if we need to survive, we need to make sure that we completely become cognizant of our customers' needs. And our customers' needs are as follows. This is very interesting. Our customers no longer want permanent office spaces. What they want is, they want flexible office spaces, and now that they don't want to deal with conventional landlords. They want to deal with us. Our demand will eventually increase. What they want to do is they want to take a central headquarters with us and then tell their employees to come there on every Monday for having their town halls and meetings and conferences. On a Tuesday, they want their employees to work from the nearest Innovate to their house. On a Wednesday, they want their employees to work from their home, but not in the conventional sense on a dining room. No. They want their employees to work from an office. In every house, there's a small puja room. They want that room, that small room or a cupboard to be completely converted into a soundproof, firewall-led, completely secure access room for work alone. That will also be made by us. On a Thursday, they want their employees to again come to the nearest Innovate. On a Friday, they want them to come to their headquarters. On a Saturday, they want them to work from home. This is the future of work that we are seeing significantly getting adopted, and this change might be permanent.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time that we see this trickle down into other industries, and yeah.
Yeah.
And I also do know that you have been a founding partner at Plaksha University. Could you tell us the vision, because this is actually a tech university, and what is the vision behind starting?
So, unfortunately, we've seen that engineering universities, especially the government ones, have not done justice with students. Even today, if you talk about numbers, majority of our students are students of mechanical engineering. Now, mechanical engineering should have been taught in 1950s to 70s. Today, pan India, if you talk about engineering degrees, our number of computer engineers are hardly 9 to 10%. They should be at least 51 to 52%. And we are going from an industry 3.0, which was your 4G apps, adoption of handsets. We are going to industry 4.0, which I call Rania 53. Rania 53 stands for robotics. A stands for autonomous vehicles and electric vehicle infrastructure. N stands for for artificial intelligence and machine learning. Five stands for 5G and 3 stands for 3D printing manufacturing abilities. Now, tell me how many students in our country today know about these 7 to 8 verticals, which are going to employ or disemploy thousands of people. Robotics is going to disrupt thousands of redundant jobs like media anchors. We need our students to now learn these skills and become more. We will see massive difficulties in getting jobs in the future. Security in jobs will now be a myth. Everything will convert into a freemium model with freelancing with a small minimum guarantee which companies may give. Now, this is a very dangerous situation, especially in a country like India, which has some of the highest unemployment rates. So we believe, and I don't know, we cannot do this alone. Plaksha will maximum at campus teach 10,000 students. We all, Acharya, we all need to come together, think more about this, write white papers, convince governments to increase number of seats in the future of Industry 4.0 and be ready by 2030. We will see massive job loss, and that has now preceded from 2030 to 2022 because of COVID. We will see nurse robots roaming here and there in hospitals, and this is not far future. A company in which I've invested actually built a nurse which does that. So redundant jobs are going to get depleted, and our engineers should be ready. So at Plaksha, we are trying to partner with other universities and ourselves to focus and build. And why do we go to a Stanford? The question is, why do we go to an MIT? वहां पे भी वही रामचंद्रन और पटेल भाई पढ़ा रहे होते हैं. वो सब बेचार उनको यहाँ पे आके पढ़ाना चाहिए. National, we are entering an era called deglobalization. Produce in India, consume in India. We are entering an era where our dependence on China, on America will significantly reduce. And for that, we need skill, because today we are entering an era. The so-called president of United States has banned the entry of a lot of students to the US. Maybe it's temporary for now, but we cannot not have the future of our students held hostage by a finicky president.
And Ritesh,
Am I audible?
yes,
Yeah,
yes. And Ritesh, we call this session basically the Alchemist Mindset because I watched some of your videos and I found that very interesting. Could you really talk to us about what the Alchemist Mindset
yeah,
is?
sure. Yeah. So I was trying to understand what is success, because and in my opinion, from the beginning, I've been taught that success is getting into All India Institute of Medical Sciences and becoming a doctor. Aims is success for a doctor. For an engineer, success is IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi. For maybe son of a civil servant, success is maybe getting into civil services examination. Realize that success has different parameters. But if you see the most powerful and the most richest people in the world, I wanted to understand that what is their legacy. And we came out with very interesting data. 100 of the most powerful and richest people of the world, I thought majority of them would have got their money from their parents. But to my surprise, 71% of them were first-time billionaires who were from poor backgrounds, from very average age educational institutes. Out of those 71%, 52% did not see gate of any educational institute. And out of those 100, hardly out of the 71, which were first generation billionaires who took an average of 11.2 years to build their wealth, out of those 71, not even a single one was from Harvard. This is 2016 study. And I realized that educational institute does not matter. Your parents being poor or rich does not matter. What matters is what is there in you. So we did a research on 1000 smartest CEOs of the world. And that research is called Alchemist Mindset. Alchemist in English stands for, if whatever a person touches, that becomes valuable, he has the Midas touch or he turns it into gold. So it's a mnemonic. So A stands for bias for action. People who build things, they take action, and they take failure as a stepping stone to success. Failure is nothing but success turned inside out. The whole idea is you are very close to success if you just fail enough. So people don't act on time. L
And
stands for, yeah, sorry.
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
L stands for learning. People don't learn. In India especially, we have a mindset कि यार 25 साल के हो गए, एजुकेशनल पूरी क्लोज हो गई हमारी, पीजी भी कर ली, अब बस नौकरी करनी है और कुछ सीखना नहीं है. Every day, we are entering into an era which is the most insecure decade in the history of mankind. Every day you need to learn or you'll get disrupted. Every day I need to learn or I will lose everything that I've earned. Knowledge and information are the most important wealth that we need to build post health. C stands for confidence. We realize that this is also called Goffman's theory. I'm not confident, but you will feel I'm confident right now. I act. 90% of success is acting. The positioning that you do with your employees becomes your aura. Confidence is something which is so important, but confidence needs to be balanced with the next alphabet, which is H, which is humility. Understand, India is a very emotional country. Understand, humility is so important. Always be down to earth and respect people. E stands for enthusiasm. All these people had one thing in common. They were bubbling with energy. They were like a baby, constantly thinking of new ideas and executing them irrespective. Like a baby cries. Even if Prime Minister Modi comes, the baby will cry. He will not wait for him to go. We realized that they were baby boomers and they would do with enthusiasm. They would do whatever was required to do. M stands for majestic dreamers. It's not our biggest success is not achieving a goal. Our biggest success is achieving a large goal. Most of the people fail here that they achieve something that is so small and they call themselves successful. Today, I believe I'm not successful because I've achieved very small. We need to have large dreams and whatever you think, the beauty of this mind is we hardly use 2.5 to 4.5% of this mind. The beauty of this mind is if you start using it just 1% more, you'll do so much that you can't even imagine. Start dreaming as big as possible. I stands for innovation. The world is changing continuously. You'll get disrupted if you don't innovate. And that is why our company's name was Innovate. Uh, S stands for strategic thinkers. People don't write down their goals. People will continuously saying, यार कि 5 साल के बाद इतना पैसा कमा लेंगे. नहीं, आप अपने गोल्स लिखो, आप उसको लिखो, उसको रैशनलाइज करो, उस पर डेली काम करो, उसके छोटे गोल्स बनाओ, बड़े गोल्स बनाओ. जैसे सरकार का 5 साल का प्लान बनता है वो बनाओ. Only 0.3% of the people write down their goals on a regular basis, and they own 99.3% or 99.7% of all assets of the world. Just this small thing, start writing your goals. You will start believing them much more. And last, T stands for tinkering. Start interacting with people or start respecting people. Networking is bullshit. What matters is tinker, build long-term relationships and help people. Don't, and the problem with networking is people build networks कि ये मुझे कभी काम आएगा. Don't think like that. Build networks कि how can I serve the opposite person. Once you have that in mind, you will see the kind of deep networks with human relations are the most powerful attribute of anything. So I believe that this is what the Alchemist mindset is.
And coming to the end of this session, do you have any reading suggestions for entrepreneurs or students who are looking to, you know, get into this path?
So I truly believe in executing than reading. But still, if you want to read something, read Brian Tracy. I'm just putting it on the chat. Brian Tracy is a very I really like the author. I really like 0 to 1. I really like execution. I really like built to last. But I don't read all of this. I just go on YouTube and download the summary. But what I would request is that अगर कोई idea दिमाग में है ना, don't discuss with a lot of people. Just execute. And it just takes 48 hours to execute. Don't take 48 days to execute an idea. And it needs to be as simple as this. If you want to sell something, go or order it from somewhere, sell it. The best teacher in this world is execution.
And lastly, what final one advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs?
So one advice is if and this is something which I wish I could have I could have told this to myself when I was today I'm 31, when I was 22 in my college, and that would be that don't waste time. Your friends will the people who are with you right now, you will not be able to talk to everyone after 10 years. Spend time, build deep relations. चाहे 3 लोग कमाओ, but ऐसे उनके साथ ना मतलब जान हाजिर होनी चाहिए. Build deep friendships. Second, don't waste time on a lot of friends, and don't do things which will not make your which will not make you go closer to your dream. Read and execute. Build your life, and just understand this thing that being an employee will never make you rich. The world is exponentially increasing by 7 to 8% every year on year. Inflation barely controls all your needs. Make sure that you build something valuable and create something that, and from national soil, build something. And the question is, who will build the next Facebook or the next TikTok in India? Be it, and remember this thing, be it if you are a tech business, very good. Even if you are not a tech business, adopt technology. Businesses, conventional businesses who are adopting technologies will eventually disrupt everything who is not adopting technology. Use technological levers and become an asset light model, and make sure that you learn during this. I was seeing your campus. It's a beautiful campus that you have. Leverage the campus, leverage the entire ecosystem of the university, and आप ये सोचो कि आपको हर सेकंड का हिसाब देना है, हर सेकंड को है ना अच्छे से पढ़ाई करो, अच्छे से मतलब become and if you have an idea, talk to you have a very good management which is very proactive. No management and actually take out time and do these kind of sessions. Talk to them, tell them, and if you want, and maybe create a small 5-6 lakh rupee angel fund only to back your ideas, but do something and don't waste time.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Ritesh. Ritesh, I think a few students have
Sure.
few questions. I think if you're okay with taking those.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think there is.
Okay. So Revati is asking, what are the ways for a college student to get financial support for becoming an entrepreneur? Honestly, you do not need a lot of money to start an idea. 50,000-60,000 rupees is all that you need to start an idea. My first Innovate center was in a small hotel room, which took me just 48,000 rupees to actually build, to understand whether this is something which is tool worthy or not. That being said, have a product. Without a product on ideas, no one will give you money. Build a product, show your capability and capital. And the interesting part of this world is there are more investors in the world than and great founders. So capital is the last thing that you need to worry about. Do entrepreneurship show impact on Indian imports? See, not currently, but they will show eventually. I think the slogan of our Prime Minister, Atmanirbhar, will globalize all the products that we were taking from outside.
Yeah, I think. Do any of you have any questions? Please do let us know, or we can end the session. Yeah, but I have an idea. There is.
Nikhil, go on YouTube and see, urge you to see a documentary. I'll just type the answer. Frontline by PBS. You should see the documentary of Amazon Reign and Rise of Bezos. See a lot of documentaries on business. You will really understand what business is, and don't reading is good, but it's a waste of time, I believe, because it takes a lot of time. Documentaries, journalists have done a great job of encapsulating great entrepreneurs and their journeys. Watch it. It's a 2-hour documentary which will really change your mindset towards starting up. Watch the document. Watch movies like Jobs. Anything which is related to success on the story of Google. See these documentaries, you will understand what a startup is. See at least 100 documentaries in the next 100 days.
Yeah, I think that's about it. So, Ritesh, thank you so much for your time. Thank you a lot. And more than anything, I look forward to seeing you here in Bangalore.
Yes.
And meeting all of us. So thank you so much, Ritesh. We'll connect.
Thank you, Ajitesh. Thank you. It was very nice.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.